If you love flowers but worry about the bees, you're not alone. For many people, bees are simply part of gardening. But for others, especially those with bee allergies, with young children, or have high traffic outdoor spaces, the presence of bees can make enjoying the garden a little bit stressful. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and the good news is this: not all flowering plants attract bees equally. Today we're talking about plants that attract fewer bees, why that happens, and how you can still create a colorful, beautiful garden, even if the pollinators aren't your top priority. And just to be clear, bees are extremely important to our ecosystem. This video, it isn't about eliminating the pollinators, it's about making gardening accessible and enjoyable for everyone. So why do some plants attract bees? To understand which plants attract fewer bees, we first need to understand what bees are actually looking for. Bees are attracted to open, easy to access flowers, strong floral fragrance, high nectar and pollen count. They prefer colors like purple, blue, or yellow. And they also really do enjoy those simple, singular blooms. If a flower doesn't offer easy pollen or nectar access, bees they're going to ignore it. This means not all flowers are equal in the eyes of bees. We all have different garden goals. Those that are allergic, really, they're afraid to plant, so they plant nothing. Or they can plant something and enjoy gardening like the rest of us. So we're going to try to make it enjoyable for them as well, with giving them some options of plants that are going to typically not draw bees into the garden or the landscape. So let's just be kind, okay? I know this isn't going to be the type of gardening that is what everyone is looking for, but we do want to make sure that we are able to offer beautiful containers and beautiful planters to everyone, even those with small children and who have those bee allergies and are looking for simple solutions. So what is it exactly that makes a plant less attractive to bees? So a lot of times they're going to have a double or a sterile flower. They have very little pollen or nectar. They have a strong leaf fragrance as opposed to those floral fragrances. Some flowers, they're just bred for color and not for reproduction. And also to other plants, they're wind pollinated plants. So this doesn't mean that the bees never visit, but the visits are much less frequent. Let's take a look at those double flowers. So double flowers, they have extra petals. And basically what that does is that blocks that pollen access. To a bee, these plants, they're essentially a closed door. So some examples of plants that are double flowers that are beautiful, but are going to tend to attract less bees. There's the double impatiens, double begonias, double petunias, double calibrachoa, and double zinnias. So you see there's a theme here. We're talking double flowers, and there's a lot of great double flowered options. So these plants, they were bred for show, not pollination. They still provide incredible color. They just don't have that heavy bee activity. So what are some annuals that attract very few bees? These are excellent choices for patios or containers or for entryways. Some really good low bee options would be begonias, especially the tuberous or double types. Impatiens, New Guinea impatiens, coleus, dusty miller, geraniums, lobelia, and trinia. These plants, they offer bright colors, but they have minimal pollen access. So they're great for those decks, those outdoor dining spaces, pool patios, or even those front door containers. There is a way, though, that you can make gorgeous planters by not using flowers. So if those flowers, if they make you nervous, foliage plants, they can be your best friend. They provide texture and color. They have excellent contrast, and they have season-long interest. So what are some excellent foliage plants that we use here at Garden Crossings? Coleus. Coleus come in a wide array of colors. There's greens, there's near blacks, there's burgundies, there's oranges, and there's mixtures of colors. Coleus come in taller varieties or they come in trailing varieties. So if you're going for that thriller, filler, spiller look, you can get those nice tall plants, and you can also have others that will trail down over the front of the pot. A perennial option that can be planted in a container is heuchera, also known as corabels. They provide lots of foliage color as well. There's greens, there's blacks, there's oranges, there's reds, and there's mixtures of those colors. They have beautiful leafy or ruffly edges on their leaves. They do produce some flowers, but typically you can get those flowers trimmed off if the flowers make you nervous. Caladiums are another great option for sun to shade. Caladiums come in colors of reds and pinks and whites and greens. A real beautiful tropical looking foliage plant. And they mix really well in containers or in the landscape. Now you may be thinking a lot of these plants we've talked about are the upright looking plants and you're looking for something to trail over in your containers. That's where the sweet potato vine comes in. Sweet potato vine is offered in colors of green and green and black together. There's even a variety that's green, pink, and white. So a lot of different color options there. Also, too, there's a lot of different leaf forms on sweet potato vines. Some of them are heart-shaped. Some of them are more serrated. So there's a lot of cool texture you can add for that spiller in the container with sweet potato vines. Also, ferns are a great option. There's annual ferns, perennial ferns, and both of them have their place in a container. Some of those annual ferns, they can get really big and fill out and make just gorgeous containers. If you want to add a little bit more color in, that's where some of the perennial ferns come into play. Just an excellent plant for texture. Another great perennial option would be hostas. Hostas come in big forms and in small forms. They're shades of green and white and chartreuse and blue. So another great plant that gives you a lot of different color option with its foliage, different sizes, different textures. And a lot of times with these perennials, if you want to take them from your container and plant them into your landscape later in the season, they're going to give you two uses, your beautiful containers and then save them in those landscapes for year after year enjoyment. Many of these do produce flowers, but they're really insignificant. And a lot of them really don't attract too many bees. But if you're still worried, they're going to go and send up a spike before the flower actually forms. So you can go ahead and trim those flowers off so you don't have to worry about the bees at all. Flowers that bloom but rarely bring in the bees. These plants may bloom, but bees usually show little interest. Vinca, which is the annual periwinkle. Wave petunias, especially the doubles. Supertunias, and I want to take a little closer look at supertunias because we grow a ton of supertunias here at Garden Crossings. We use them in our landscape. So why are supertunias a plant that don't necessarily draw interest to these bees? They have very little pollen, both the supertunias and the superbells. They're both bred mainly for their color, their performance in the garden. They have nonstop blooming, and they produce minimal usable pollen. And that's what those bees, they really rely on. The flowers, they drop naturally, and these plants, they don't form seed heads. They usually come from cuttings. So their job is they have less reproductive material. So because of that, there's less pollen, there's less nectar, and there's also less interest with the bees. Supertunias, they make a great mass of color. Even though they may not be the best for pollinators, there's a lot of other options you can plant in your garden that will bring those pollinators in. Some other great options are Diacia, Nemesia, Bacopa, and even Scaevola. Scaevola is a great plant, especially if you have an area that gets a lot of wind or is really dry area. They do handle the drought once they're established. All of these, they would be great for hanging baskets or mixed containers. And many of them, they would do well in the landscape as well. There's also a lot of shrubs that have low bee activity. And a lot of times, especially if we're talking around decks or patios or front entrances, you're looking for some plants that maybe provide some structure. So some great options that would be evergreen would be boxwood or Ilex glabra. Both of these, depending on the variety you choose, are going to be fairly compact, and you can let them go natural or you can give them a trim to give them more of a formal look. It really is up to you what you'd like to do with either of these varieties. Also, too, the panicle or smooth hydrangeas, they have those big, full blooms. And because those blooms are so full, that really gives little access to the bees to get in to get that pollen. There are some varieties of panicle and smooth hydrangeas that are more lace cap, and so those would be ones you'd probably want to stay away from because those ones being open and having more access to the nectar and pollen could indeed bring in those bees and pollinators. Nine bark, it's often grown for its foliage. It's got nice deep black or green foliage. It does flower in the spring, but usually for 2 or 3 weeks. So with this plant here, you can enjoy those flowers from inside. Usually it's going to bloom probably before you're too much out on your deck, on your patio, or hanging out at the pool. So you can still enjoy flowers in your landscape. But once it's time for you to be more adventurous and get outside, those flowers are done and you've got that beautiful foliage that remains in the landscape, giving interest throughout the summer. Double roses also are a selection that the bees don't really go for. You've got some double flowers that still have the pollen accessible. So you want to go for those really big, full double roses. The roses where the bees just can't access that pollen and nectar. And there's a lot of great varieties of double roses out there. Also, too, that adds some fragrance into those areas you're hanging out around. Rosa Sharon, it's a great tropical-looking shrub. You would want to look for the double flower forms. Obviously, if you've got those single flowers, they're more wide open and the pollen is accessible. But with those double flower forms, there's a lot of layers of petals, and the pollen and nectar is just not as accessible. Rosa Sharon come in a lot of colors, purples, pinks, whites, and various colors in between. So they really do add a nice tall look, depending on the variety. They can get 8 to 10 foot tall, some columnar height into your garden and landscape as well. And the last shrub on this list is Weigela. So Weigela, usually it has a short bloom time like the nine bark does. It's usually a spring blooming plant. They come in foliage of dark, almost near black or green. I should mention though too, there are reblooming Weigela, so kind of keep in mind the ones that you're looking at. So if you do buy the ones that just bloom in the early spring, again, you're going to have gorgeous flowers more than likely before you're out enjoying your patio, your deck, or out in your pool area. So you still get those gorgeous gardens, those gorgeous flowers in your gardens, but not needing to worry about those bees being an issue. Now, I did mention there are reblooming Weigela out there as well, which I personally love for my garden because they'll bloom up to 3 times a season. But that would be something that if you are wanting to keep the bees away, you're going to want to choose a variety that's only the spring bloomer. And that is true of a lot of shrubs. There's a lot of great spring blooming shrubs. So you can enjoy the color in your garden early season, and then later on in the season, when you're going to be out enjoying your garden, they would be done blooming and leave you with that foliage interest. Also, too, a lot of plants are wind pollinated, so the bees aren't doing the pollination. It's the wind taking care of it for the plants. So those two are something that you don't have to worry about those bees being a bother. It is important to understand that no flowering plant is 100% bee proof. And I think we all know that, right? But if a bee is passing through your yard, it may briefly investigate a bloom. But with the ones we mentioned today, typically those bees, they should just continue on. But the plants today we discussed are far less attractive to the bees, not major nectar sources, and are unlikely to draw that heavy bee traffic. Also, it matters with where you're placing your plants. You can still support the pollinators, which is important, by planting those pollinator plants away from your entrances, away from the patios, away from walkways, and just away from spaces that you or your children may be hanging out. So think of maybe the back of the garden and areas where you don't hang out as much, because it is, again, important to have pollinator-friendly plants. And to be honest, if you are just like, I can't do it, that just makes me too nervous, the beauty is your neighbors are doing it. So even though your garden may not be designed to attract the pollinators, those around you are doing it for you. So some final thoughts. Gardening, it should be enjoyable for everyone, right? There's a way we can all garden and do it best for us, what makes us happy and what makes it enjoyable for us. For some people, it's creating those pollinator gardens. That's their goal. But for others, safety and peace of mind, that's what comes first. And you know what? Both are okay. We have to agree about that. Both are okay because we want people who don't feel comfortable with flowers in their garden because of the bees. We want them to also be able to enjoy gardening and enjoy flowers. So if this is one way that they can do that, let's give them those ideas. By choosing plants with low pollen, double blooms, colorful foliage, you can still enjoy the vibrant flowers without attracting those large number of bees to your garden or landscape. If this video was helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more honest gardening advice. And if you're looking for plants that are, as we mentioned in today's video, you can head to our website, gardencrossings.com, and we'll ship them directly to your door. Or if you're local here to Zeeland, Michigan, feel free to stop into our garden center once the weather gets a little bit nicer. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.